So for our PWA demo now, I just have my copy paste file open, same one I've made available to you, right? And at the top I note a couple things that, first of all, we might as well get those graphic images in place, right? So I have a zip archive with a bunch of images that I'm going to use here. So if I right click www.root, I'm just going to go and find these existing items. Oh, not www.root, what am I saying? Images. I want to put the images in my images folder that I'm using already. So now I'll go and find them. I have them in my downloads folder. Sorry. I'll get it right eventually. Add existing item. Okay. All right. PWA images. And of course it's not showing them to me at first, but I could have dragged and dropped them in as well, for that matter, but here they are. So you notice as I hover over here, it should come up. Yeah, so this is my main icon, right, that I'm going to use for my application. I have the two versions, the same but in different sizes, okay? And I just got this one off of a free resource, open source. I'm allowed to use it, no strings tied to it whatsoever. I just thought it was a good representation of our medical office approach, right? And then I've just got a couple of screenshots in different sizes. We'll come back and talk. That's totally optional. It's not required to have these, but I thought I'd throw them in just to give you a little bit of a richer experience of the installation. And we'll look at the different browsers and how that, some of them use it and some of them don't. Most of them use it. Edge doesn't. Okay. All right, good. All right, let's get back now. I have those in place. So what do we need next? Well, I'm going to add count them, three things in our www root, right? First of all, I'm going to add a new item here. It's going to be my manifest JSON file, right? So it's going to be a JSON file. Might as well find that here. All right, JSON file. And it's called manifest.json. Okay, so I have more code in here than the minimum that we talked about, right? Well, let's just have a look. Absolutely required. Name. Okay, medical office, short name. I shortened it a little bit there. The description is technically optional, but why wouldn't you have a description? To brag about your app or what it does. Make it more clear. Okay, I'm a little bit silly here, but you would be more real world and realistic, right? Here are the icons. Okay, so this is required. We have our two icons here in the different sizes, right, that are required for the application itself. The screenshots, totally optional. Don't require it, but you'll have a chance to see how this works when we go to install the application, right? So again, I've got two versions of each one. I've got two screenshots and different sizes, wide and narrow versions in different sizes as well, right? Display, okay, that option is simply standalone. The app stands alone. The start URL is basically the root of the app. And this is something new. We actually had to have the ID as basically the same, right? That was a requirement that was added a little while ago. Okay, so there's our manifest file. Next, the next thing we need is our service worker, right? So I said you could just have AI write one for you. JavaScript file. Now, there's a common practice to simply call it SW or service worker, whichever you prefer, right? But a lot of tutorials out there, they just call it SW. And the one I have here actually was generated by that tool based on that cache first safe approach, right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time discussing this code with you. The documentation is online. Just note here, all we have to do is update this version number if we need to refresh the cache, okay? It'll see that change and away we go. Notice that we have a path here. We have to create our offline HTML file. That's a requirement ever since, I think, August of, well, I can't remember the year off the top of my head. It was in my PowerPoint, I think. We absolutely must provide an offline HTML page for it to display if it cannot either get the page we're asking for either from cache or from the network, right? Okay, so basically we're just adding to cache. We're installing an event listener here, right? We fetch for two different ways. We either fetch fingerprinted resources. You know what those are. Those are the ones that we actually add a little hash to it so it doesn't just pull an old one out of cache, and then other non-fingerprinted resources as well, right? Okay, so standard stuff. Feel free to research it more if you need to, and away you go. You just want to save it and close it. Now, the last one we actually have to have then is that actual offline HTML page, right? The only tricky thing about this is, unlike other standard HTML pages where you can link in other resources and so on, it must be completely standalone, okay? It must be set up so it doesn't require anything outside of itself. So I'm just going to call it offline HTML to match the name I used in my service worker as well. Okay, now you see in my copy paste file that I borrowed this one from a given reference, so I included the reference in my copy paste file. Okay, it's free to use and you can do the same, right? But notice again, see all the styles are in line, okay? Everything is here and all the scripting is all in line, so we don't require anything outside of the page itself for what we're going to have, right? It has a little reload button, so we can click it to just check, see if we can actually, are we back online now? Can we reload? And away we go. Okay, so that's it. We've added everything we need in PWA root now, right? We have our manifest file, our offline, and our service worker. Everything is there. Okay, what else do we need? Well, we actually have to add just two final things. Remember we said we need that link to the manifest that must be available on every single page. So the best place, coming down to shared, is our underscore layout, right? So I'll add the link here, and then since every one of our views gets displayed in the context of this partial view, it will be available everywhere we go. Now, only on one place do I need to actually install the service worker. So home index seems to me to be the perfect spot to do that. So this little snippet of script will look after that for us. Okay, registers the service worker. Okay, and note there, without the manifest you can't actually install it, right? But our service worker there, see it's referenced in our manifest as well, and then we can actually follow through. If you want to check the console's log, you can see that it was actually registered and so on, but we'll see it. I'll show you how we can press F12 and have a look at it inside. All right, so let's actually run the application. Believe it or not, that's as simple as that to make it a PWA. Now I'm running locally, right? So it's actually kind of a good way to demonstrate the offline capability, because all we have to do is stop the application running and we're essentially offline. Now, what I would normally do is, of course, be publishing this up to Azure, right? So we can install it from there. Installing it locally here does no good whatsoever, right? Okay, notice it says open in app. Oh, I must have installed it when I was testing earlier. Hang on a second. Let me just get that fixed. I might as well show you here. So it was installed earlier, right? So I can just come in here. I can uninstall it. And there we go. So now it'll be uninstalled. All right. Now the icon here changes. So this is what I expected. Install Medical Office, right? When I click that, I get a nice little install app dialog box here. Notice there's my description. Hey, I'm bragging about my great app. And here are those screenshots, right? The two different screenshots that I included, right, to help you see a bit more about the actual application, right? So I can click install, and now it is actually installed, and it opened it up in an app as opposed to in the browser. So I can close the browser, and here it is running in the actual application itself. So you see we've lost the browser Chrome. Yeah, it's running in Chrome. I know, bad joke. All right, but let me log in. Oh, hang on. I have to be running in Visual Studio, or I'm offline, right? Okay, so here we are. I want to open in the app. There we go. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now I'll log in. Admin, there's my password. It remembers because I did it earlier, right? So here we go. So here's my patients index. I can step through a few pages. Away we go. Let me go back to the first page. Notice my filter search. Everything is working, right? Just as it would be normally. Okay, I can filter by this, that, the other thing, clear my filter. Okay, let's go to the details of this first patient here. I can see I can add a new appointment, right? Duration, select the doctor, is going to see this particular doctor, the fee is going to be $1. Oh, I have to have some notes. And there we go. So we've added another appointment here. And good. Back to the patient list. All right. And see, I can go to doctors, do the same kind of thing, see the details on a doctor, go see their patient specialties documents. All right. Maintain lookups. Sure. Everything's working just as we expect it to. And away we go. Now, let me come back here. If I suddenly go offline, I can do that by stopping running. So now I'm technically offline. Well, it's a little slow because it's pulling out a cache, but here you see I can go to patients, okay? I can go to the next page, back. So let's go to the details of this patient. Slow, but this page was cached, right? I can even, let's try this. Can I edit the, the appointment I created? I know the answer, but I wanted you to see it. No, you are offline, okay? Yes, we're offline. Now, if I started running again, go back to the app. There we go. It actually immediately loaded the page. I didn't even have to click the reload button. The service worker saw that, hey, the app is available again, right? So it immediately actually loaded the page that we had requested, right? Okay, so there we go. All right, oh. Okay, oh, I must have done something there. Anyway, oh, yeah, I guess I've stopped. Somehow or other, I stopped running. All right, so that's basically how it works. Now, let me just show you this. So I'm open in the browser again here, right? That's my URL. Now let me just open Edge, for example. Yeah, got it, whatever, right? When we come over here to a new tab, here it is. Look at that, app available. Just want to show you, see, it looks different. Edge does not use those screenshots, right? Brave, the Brave browser will, I'm pretty sure Firefox will, it did last time I tested it anyway, right? And Chrome, they all use those screenshots. Edge is just a little different. It doesn't show you that information. I haven't figured out a way to make it do it, okay? But it does offer to install it. And notice this, we can install it both with Edge and with Chrome and with any other browsers we have on here. We can actually technically have it installed multiple times. I kind of like this. It's nice that the way Edge offers to actually, add it to the start, pin it to the taskbar, create a desktop shortcut, and so on, right? And away we go. So there we go. Would you like? Yeah, sure, of course, right? So it's right on the taskbar now. Okay. Just close all these. Now it's still technically running. Oh no, see, it stopped it when I closed, right? That's how it ended up closing earlier on me. Okay, let me just minimize that. So it is running. So let me just open it with Edge, right? So here it is. And there it is. So now we're running it inside this installed PWA with Edge. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you, the fact that we can actually work with this with multiple browsers. Of course, this wasn't cached because this is a different browser from what I used earlier, right? Okay, all right, I'm not going to bother. Point is, if you actually publish it to Azure, then you can install it and access it there. And odds are you're not going to be spending a lot of time offline, but I wanted to show you the capabilities. The limited, yes, it is offline capability, but what there actually is. But, once I publish it to Azure, then I can just click my icon to open it, and as long as I'm online, I have that full functionality anytime I need it. All right, well, that ends our demo for today.